I go to hype us up, and I go, "Hey, everybody, welcome to our show. This is the Wild Endeavors podcast." I don't know why that sounds funny to me. Enter the wrong show. Oh man.
No, that's your other thing.
Oh, we are live? Okay. Well, all right. Hot damn. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Bardic Beards podcast.
Episode 2.
Hey. Oh, every time. That was a bad one.
That was gross.
Look at my elbow. Look at my elbow, okay?
Nailed
Remember
it.
when I taught you that?
No.
I taught you that, when we worked together. I remember, I always look at an elbow. You will never miss a high five. That's a pro tip for you people out there.
Free tip.
Free tip. So how you doing, bud?
Man, it's been a week.
It's been a week. Yes, it has.
Oh my god, every time.
Yeah.
I went camping last weekend. That was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where'd you go again?
The Okefenokee Swamp.
That's made up.
Everything's made up.
In Florida, we have weird names like that.
It's actually across the border. It's in Georgia.
Okay, in
land.
Georgia, they have weird names like
it's
we
only
do in
just
Florida.
across the border.
Yeah.
Part of the swamp probably bleeds into the state. But
Well, when you have cities names like Okeechobee and Alachua County,
this
and
is true.
what's another Apopka,
They're all already Kissimmee.
Yeah,
What is that?
Kissimmee. Yeah.
Everything's Indian names.
Everything's Indian. Well, Native American.
Native
American.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
It was a really cool place though. They have like a county-wide ordinance there, I think it is.
For what?
Where you cannot have any exterior lights on after 10 o'clock. The idea is like it's a really cool place to do some like stargazing.
Oh.
Right? Did I not show you the picture?
Yeah, it's that picture that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm pointing at the monitor, but yeah, it's that raw photo that you have.
There you go. There.
Yeah.
That's
It is amazing.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is more than your eye can see. That's
Right.
that's fancy cameras.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
But it was really cool. Except I got 8 million mosquito bites. So,
Yeah. Well, it's the South.
it
What do you
happens.
expect?
Yeah, and it's the swamp.
I just thought of another name. Sorry, not to stray
Yeah,
off topic,
no,
but
what's
another local Krimakuchi.
That's fake.
I swear to God, it's real. It's Sumter County.
Oh my god, I've never heard of that.
I'm pretty certain.
Krimakuchi.
Wait a minute.
We just got demonetized.
Yeah, we did.
Mm.
Steenhatchee, that's another place. That's in That's near Tallahassee. Steenhatchee, yeah, it's on the Panhandle. It's on the coast.
I was in the Panhandle the prior weekend.
Yeah, Steenhatchee. I went there camping. I don't do camping.
Yeah.
This is 10 years
I
ago.
don't think I've ever heard an Evan camping story.
It's not that good. I was dating a girl at the time that loved camping, and their parents would go, or her parents would go every year. So they invited me because her dad really liked me and her mom really liked me, which is great.
Yeah.
I liked her, so it worked out.
Sounds all right.
So they had this place. They rented out like a RV area and camped there.
Yeah.
But it was next to a town called Steenhatchee, and they have a local crab festival.
Okay.
And it was actually like the crab festival is awesome. I bet like everybody turns out for it.
No shit.
And it's also what I found out that the farther north you go in Florida, the more south you get.
That's absolutely
That is
true.
100% true for
Yeah.
anybody who's not from Florida.
Doesn't make a ton of sense, except
No.
it does if you've been here.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've been here, you'd understand because Florida is divided up into 3 areas.
Yep.
It's North Florida, so it's Panhandle to
Those are like actual native Floridian southern folk.
Southern folk, yes. To Central Florida, which is where we live.
Yep, which is all old people from anywhere
Yep.
else,
That's-
especially up north.
That's anywhere from Orlando, which is tourist trap, down to maybe somewhat
Tampa,
past Ocala to
yeah,
Tampa,
yeah.
which is all old folk, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then to Miami, which used to be all old folk, but now is mostly a northern Cuba.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
Miami, Naples
Mhm.
type deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 3 very distinct cultures in Florida.
who'd have thought?
Not I.
Exactly. And I mean, all because of oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
Florida used to be just a giant orange grove.
Oh, timeout.
God damn it.
Dude, I would camp in your backyard.
I think you're more than welcome to it
Except for the
anytime.
mosquitoes, anyway.
Yeah, really bad.
What I meant is I would camp in your bedroom.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
totally fine.
totally.
Also, you're again more than welcome to anytime. So today is a big show.
I think so.
I think it's gonna be a big show.
Yeah.
So we've teased it a couple of times, but you and I are not at the moment. Well, maybe me more so than you, but very unfortunately, I know. We're very avid tabletop RPG players, especially Dungeons and Dragons.
Exclusively for me.
Exclusively for you. I know. I play a couple more systems, but aside from this show, I'm a part of another show called the Wild Endeavors podcast.
Every Wednesday
when it comes out. I'm contractually obligated to say that.
Yeah. I'll actually. Yeah, let me pull that.
Yeah, we'll pull it up real quick. So this is one of our stream sites where you can go and find every episode. So if you can go back real quick, back a page, we have 2 different campaigns on here.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, this is the second campaign. This is our Wayward Sons campaign.
Sure.
The original campaign, which I'm going to scroll down. Yep. Totally ready for this. Would be our...
Preparation, folks.
We had a bunch of preludes because... our actual recording of our podcast, which was something I was going to talk about here in a minute anyways, started halfway through. The Wayward Sons show started halfway through the campaign.
Okay.
So we had been playing for years already.
Right.
Then decided to record. But the first show we did was called the Shadow Campaign. Basically, it was an interlude campaign. So... You know what? We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to come back to that. Okay. So, I think we should start with our first experiences.
Sure.
If you don't mind. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine was entirely guided by you.
Was it really?
Indeed.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had, of course, heard of Dungeons and Dragons before.
I think when we started playing, it was when... because it's been a cultural phenomenon,
sure, for
the last 40 years. But it's almost like another shock happened.
Definitely,
and it went through, the whole.
Yeah, there's that one big streamy.
There's a couple.
Actually, forget their name.
Critical Role.
Yeah,
Critical Role. Yeah, it was a big one at the time. That was the one that inspired me to play. The other big one is you know what? We'll come back to that. Sure. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
But you approached me at work.
Yep.
I think you had already recruited a couple other people.
Yep. I thought you'd be perfect for it.
Turns out I was.
Yes, you were literally the one of the most powerful players. I think you were between you and Devin were the 2 most powerful players, and I don't mean to detract that from the other players in our campain because they were all powerful in their own right, but you just, oh my god,
could do
your character was stupid.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't mean that in a bad sense.
No, and for having built that as somebody who's never played before is really cool.
Yeah,
Devin had a leg up. He's had characters before.
Yeah,
cheating bastard.
Yeah, I know. Sean played a bard. He played a bard, a lore bard in that campaign.
Yep.
So I remember the reason I wanted to start DMing, because again, I had been playing already for a couple of years, was because we were at some game store in Ocala, because we found out, they run local D&D stuff. And
that's right.
There was a guy who's like, I'll DM for you guys.
That was Gamer's Edge.
Yeah, Gamer's Edge in Ocala.
When that existed, rest in peace.
Yep. They don't exist anymore, so we can talk about them.
Yeah. Cool store. I miss that.
Yeah, they're cool. They're a great store. Yeah, nothing against them. But I remember the guy's like, I'll DM for you guys, $20 every time. Like, fuck that.
A week? What the hell?
So while we were there, they were selling the intro campaign set. So I went ahead and I was like, fuck that. I bought that set. I was like, I'll DM.
Yeah.
And I don't know. As a player, I was fine with it. And but DMing was a completely different story, but I guess it worked out. So
totally, I had a ton of fun. Everybody else did. We played for it took like two
years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
To finish our campaign out, and we all had some really cool characters. No major deaths. I
think it was easy on you guys.
Yeah,
honestly,
probably.
I felt like I was a little easy.
Yeah.
But my first experience was with the Wild Endeavors crew.
Yeah.
we didn't have a name. We eventually were called the Wayward Sons.
Mm-hmm.
But that same cast has been together for like 4 years now. Mm-hmm. I'd say that's when we started playing about 4 years ago.
But I just remember our group name because it escaped me for a minute. Plan B.
We'll come back to that. Oh, Jesus Christ. I forgot the name. And how it became so famous.
Oh, jeez.
But I had been exposed to Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm sure millions of other nerds have. And I was just like, oh my God, these people are amazing. Matt Mercer just creates...
Oh my God.
He creates the most luxurious story.
Definitely.
I remember I got into it around the time they were in their Whitestone arc, which is they were there to kill some vampires.
Right.
That's when I started listening. I was going to be watching because that was before they did a podcast. That was just when there was only Twitch. That was the only way you could watch it.
Interesting. Okay.
I guess I watched it from some guy who had not really pirated it, but was putting it on YouTube.
Sure.
You know, it wasn't them, but it was somebody else.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is just amazing. And I remember at that time there was a movie that had just came out too called The Last Witch Hunter. Okay. This is just dawning on me, which is it's a Vin Diesel movie.
Okay.
Where he plays the Last Witch Hunter. He plays a character that is like an 800-year-old witch hunter. Like he is a huge D&D nerd.
Yeah, I remember he did an episode with
he did a one-shot with him, yeah. And that's actually my first character I wanted to play was going to be his class that Matt had made for his character, which is a blood hunter.
Okay, right.
Which gets into another little backstory about me. I'm a huge Witcher fan, right? I love the Witcher series. And the Blood Hunter is based on the Witcher character because that's kind of like what Vin Diesel's character was. Yeah. Except he hunted witches, whereas Witchers hunt everything. That's else, a monster, yeah. So I was like, oh man, maybe I'll play this Blood Hunter character because he had just published it on a website called DM's Guild.
Okay.
But it's an advanced class. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what you're doing, you definitely don't want to play it.
It's not your first class.
Excuse me. I'm getting over being sick. Yeah, sorry guys. Not the virus, don't worry. Anyways, so I was like, okay, if I were to play, what would I play? And this is before I even had a group, but Pike was probably my favorite character from Critical Role, and she's the cleric. Yeah. She's a war cleric. Mm-hmm. So that's what I ended up playing was a war cleric. But to kind of keep going forward here. So a couple weeks later, my friend Devin, he works with a bunch of people that are also of like mind, like us, and we're like, hey, you guys want to play D&D?
Yeah.
And
so you created a character before?
No, actually, I didn't.
Okay.
Well, kind of. I had kind of created a character. He was in the concept. Yeah. Okay. So they're like, yeah. He's like, I know this guy. I work with him. He's willing to DM for us. We're gonna do. This is the time when The Walking Dead was also very popular.
Oh yeah, sure.
He's like, we're gonna do a zombies campaign. I was like, okay, cool. So it's not your traditional 5e system. I should have messaged him and asked him what he used. Mm-hmm. I think he just found like some random system.
Sure.
Because we would roll d20s, but they weren't like, there were, like 17 and you hit. It was like something, I can't remember. Plus also, you were either a melee or a ranged character. It was one or the other.
Yeah.
My character didn't last. He definitely died. He got eaten alive. But I remember we played and had so much fun, and it was like 7 of us at the time.
Sure.
And so our DM at the time, Thomas, who's still our DM, I hope he's watching. I remember texted like the whole group out of the blue, saying, "Hey, I heard you guys are, do you want to do like a serious thing?" And I was like, "Fuck yes, let's do this."
Yeah. So
that's when my cleric character came about. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna play this war cleric named Elliman." Mm-hmm. I thought the name, I had to look it up in like a book.
Yeah.
Because I needed to find a name. First off, I was like, I wanted it to be an E because my first name's Evan. I was like, I don't know why. but I also need to be able to spell it and know how to say it. And I was like, Element, that's easy.
Those are good criteria.
Exactly. And that's kind of where his name came from. And then his backstory, I kind of plagiarized it a little bit. Not so much from Braveheart.
We're going to say paraphrased.
Paraphrased, yes. Yeah, plagiarize is a dirty word.
Yeah. Negative connotation.
Yeah. Inspired by. It was definitely inspired by Braveheart. The character William Wallace and him losing his family. Element lost his family to orcs.
Yeah.
When he was a young lad.
Dirty bastards.
I know. And which it's funny because that character had such a hatred for orcs, and then my personal favorite, one of my personal favorite characters I ever played as an orc.
Yeah.
Or a half orc. I will get into him later.
Sure.
But yeah, his family was killed by orcs, and then his uncle came and rescued him. I wouldn't say rescued him. He found him and was like, all right, boy, I'm going to teach you the ways of our god.
Sure.
Tempest
was
the war god of that world, and raised him as an acolyte of Tempest. And so he was very, I don't want to say sheltered, but he was raised to fight.
Very specifically.
Yeah, very specifically. And then
strong upbringing.
Yeah, he had a strong fight upbringing, but he didn't really, at least originally, like, he lived in a monastery. But he wasn't afraid to adventure out. I think I had written him originally, like, he had fought in a couple of wars before.
Okay.
That might have been Redcon, I don't remember, but it didn't matter because Thomas took us in a completely different direction. Which worked out for the best.
Yeah.
He had this idea very, like, first session. Like, we're going to be a part of this mercenaries group called the Cerulean Sons.
Yep.
And this is how we're going to get our adventures, as was by working for this mercenary group.
Sure. It's an easy way to build up a game.
Yeah, very easy.
Yeah.
And I remember our first mission we ever did is we had to go to this tomb of an unknown king, and we had to collect some type of relic. And so we got there, and the first things we come across are a bunch of kobolds. Or no, they weren't kobolds. No, they were maybe they were kobolds. I can't remember. But this is like, okay, first combat. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just three of us playing
Sure.
at this time.
Okay.
It's my friend Devin, your friend too, and then you know him, but my friend Adam.
Yeah.
It's just the three of us, and then Thomas DMing, and Adam was a rogue, and Devin was a rogue.
Okay.
This is Devin's original character.
Okay. I know him as his wizard, so that must be later.
This is later, yeah. I'm gonna touch on all that.
Yeah.
And not to spoil anything, but it's gonna relate to what we talked about earlier. But I remember, like, the first thing, like, okay, I rolled the highest initiative. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna yell at them and try to get their attention to get them to aggro on me, so then Devin's character can do something.
Okay.
And oh my god, that was that was so bad. Like, because I didn't know what I was doing. I never realized how to play the character, and so I lost half my hit points.
Abilities and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my hands. That was definitely me. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Like, so we finally managed to kill these 4 kobolds. And for anybody who knows what a kobold is they're about that big. Yeah, they're about that big, right? Yeah. But they swarmed us.
Sure.
And we managed.
It's like, how many 5-year-olds can you beat up?
Yeah, exactly. It's like that scene in Step Brothers. So
it'll make you look that white doctored.
Yeah, we beat them off. We beat them. And then we entered. Twice. I know. We entered the tomb, and we go in, and there's a couple more kobolds, and we fight them. And one of us does go down, but being the cleric, I like, I'll heal him, and I healed him.
I have a thing.
Yeah, I have a thing. But I learned very early on that when you are a level 1 character, you can't do much.
Nope. Don't get carried away.
Yeah, don't get carried away. Yeah, and be careful. And then, so we're going along and we fight this, we fight a Naga, which is a big snake character, or creature, excuse me. And we thought the kobolds were kind of worshipping it because it was like surrounded by a bunch of skeletons of other adventurers and stuff.
Okay.
And I remember it was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Clerics have this one really great spell. I'm going to use it. Guiding Bolt.
Yeah.
Missed.
Nah.
I had 2 spell slots. Missed. Of course. So, yeah, what do you do? But we killed it, and we managed to collect the item. Oh, I remember this. We had an NPC with us too. He was a monk character. He was our backup monk.
Yeah.
But I remember Thomas played him. It was Thomas's NPC, DMPC, as we would call him. And I remember he critted on 2 of the kobolds, and he literally, bop, bop, like it's like. I described it as jokingly like he went, it was like a fist and then an elbow and broke both their necks. He was the badass of our group.
Definitely.
And then I remember we got the object, but then there was these like, after we did it, it like opened up another door and we found these rods.
Okay.
Right? So we're like, oh, these golden rods. So we grabbed them because they seemed to be humming with like magic. So we didn't steal them. We just took them, and whatever little loot was there, and we packaged it up, and then we got out of there and we left. And on the way out, we get robbed by this group.
Yeah,
and that group ended up becoming the main enemy for us.
Sure. For
the entire campaign.
Your antagonist forever.
Yeah. Who'd have fucking, Thomas, he must have thought of this ahead of time.
Must have.
Yeah, because that guy, I can't remember his name now, but he was the main antagonist through a good year or 2.
Yeah.
Because he ended up getting killed.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't mind spoiling that because that's not in any of podcast form. Because we do a recap before.
Right.
And that was, that guy he was the bane. He was the bane of our existence for a while.
Yeah.
But that was my first experience with D&D, and I was hooked.
Yep, here you are, 1,000 years later.
Yeah, 1,000 years later, with one successful campaign that I've run under my belt, one that I've completed successfully. So it's 2, I guess.
Yeah.
And a bunch of failed ones. that launched that failed out pretty quickly, unfortunately.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes things aren't quite right.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Yep.
I think
had 1 billion successful one-shots along the way too.
Yeah, we had a lot of one-shots. Really yeah. I remember the one that always comes to mind is the Christmas one that we did.
Sure.
It was so stupid.
You were like the prospector guy from Rudolph.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that for the Wild Endeavors. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one shot. Yeah, I played a version of Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah.
From.
Imagine that guy taking down monsters.
That guy. Oh my god, that's my favorite one shot character. His name was YK Cornelius.
Yeah.
He was a dwarf, and I based him off of. There's a character from Western culture, Western movies culture, called Rooster Cogburn.
Yeah.
Which is a character that what's his name, played the Duke. Oh,
don't look at me.
I know. He played him so many times in movies. True Grit was the name of the movie. Shit, I can't think of his name, but Jeff Bridges played him later on in a remake of it.
Sure.
And I used his...
That's the person, probably.
Yep, Jeff Bridges is an actor, don't worry. I used his voice for that character. I try to do voices for all my characters.
Yeah.
Except for some of my original characters, I didn't. Just because I wasn't very comfortable.
All of your NPCs are Australian.
Yeah, a lot of my NPCs starting off were Australian. They all didn't stay that way, but
yeah, some were English, which is
some were English, which is a very similar accent. At least us Floridians, it is.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know
none of my characters have accents, so
I tried my hardest,
sure.
But he was definitely like that guy stole the show in that episode. I remember, because we all played like. we tried all to kind of play like characters like from Rudolph and from the Santa Claus animated stuff.
Right.
Devin played he played a gnome named Rudolph.
Okay.
Who had a bright red nose.
Yeah.
And I remember he had a special ability where if he concentrated real hard, his nose would light up.
It was like the simplest spell in D&D.
It was light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cantrip. But I remember Peter Rudolph, that was his name, and he talked like a gangster, like a
20s gangster.
20s gangster. He's like, Peter Rudolph, yeah. But I remember we fought a snow lich.
Okay.
Frosto the snow lich.
Yeah.
Yeah, his phylactery was his hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So for people who don't know, liches are undead wizards that are hard to kill unless you kill their phylactery also. Voldemort, yeah. Except he had 7 of those.
Yeah, he's a really, really strong one.
Yeah, exactly.
He's level 20 for sure.
Oh, yeah.
25 maybe.
Voldemort? Nah, honestly, I would lower him.
I think.
Yeah, because...
Well, in the scheme of D&D.
In the scheme of D&D, yeah, I would lower him. He'd be more of a like a newborn lich, honestly. So newborn liches are harder or easier to kill.
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had this conversation about a lot of like fictional characters over the years.
I used to talk about it a lot with Game of Thrones.
It's like a fun mental exercise.
Yeah, like
how does that person work out in D&D?
Yeah, exactly. I remember
build that.
But you remember when Game of Thrones was still good, and they went beyond the wall, and it was like the Magnificent Nine, I think is what they called them.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
It was a joke. It was a play on the movie The Magnificent Seven,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a bunch of them going beyond the wall, but it was like Jon Snow, Jorah Mormont, Tormund Giantsbane,
that'd be a fun ass.
The Hound. It's like, oh man, these guys. Okay, well, like Jon is a ranger, and Jorah is he's obviously a fighter, and then like Beric Dondarrion is he'd be a paladin.
Yeah.
One's a cleric. So I remember, it's always a good fun nerd exercise.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, this guy can bring people back from the dead.
Yeah. It's a lot cooler discussion to have than did the superhero beat up that one?
I hate those fucking conversations. Yeah, because we used to have this conversation when I worked in my first apartment at our store with a good friend of mine still, Kyle. Mm-hmm. He always would tell me that fucking Goku would beat Superman. And I'm sorry, but he can't. Goku is a...
Okay, you hate these. Let's not have one.
I know. He's a plot-driven character. He will always be stronger than what he needs to be. He's like One Punch Man. One Punch Man is always going to be stronger than what he needs to be.
Sure.
Superman's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, unstoppable force, immovable objects. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Superman beats him every time. Come on. You're right. I hate these conversations.
I don't agree, but we'll move on quickly. Yeah.
So, our campaign that I ran.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about it. We're not going to talk a whole lot about it because we want to do a second episode.
It's going to be part two for sure.
Where we get everybody together. Yeah. All the old team. But that campaign, lasted for probably a good 2.5 years, I'd say.
2.5 easy, yeah. I do want to talk about it a little bit because I don't actually remember the very start. I remember you coming up and recruiting me.
Yeah.
I remember... I think the main group, and when I first showed up, I had no idea what I wanted to play.
Yeah,
and
I gave you the idea for a bard.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of a just to fill the role.
Yeah,
it was kind of a bigger group, and
the group. So the group rounded out with at the time it was a barbarian, which is Marshall, a cleric was Zach. Zach actually was the last person to be recruited. I think. Yeah. Devin played. He played a monk. Yep. Roland. Yeah. I had to think of that for a second because he played him not like a traditional monk.
Yeah. Almost like a fighter.
Julian, who played our ranger. Mm-hmm. We had second Zach for a while.
Yep. We had a few characters come in and out.
Yeah, we had a few people come in and out. Yeah, he was a regular. Josh.
Yeah.
Played with us for a little while as a fighter.
Yep. He was really fun.
Yeah.
Especially when he left and his character came back from the dead or whatever.
Yeah, that was
fight him a few times. That was cool.
So the main cast was you as the bard, Julian as our ranger, Devin is our monk. Marshall is our barbarian. And then Zach is our cleric, and then me as the DM.
Yep.
That was the main cast.
Definitely.
The group came together because, like I said, I bought that starter set. Yep. And if anybody knows that starter set, it's an adventure called The Mines of Fendelver.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. Lost Mind of Fendelver, yeah. It's meant to be a level 1 through 5 adventure, and it's meant to teach people how to play the game. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go very far. It gives you, I mean, it's a great supplement. It gives you plot, setting, and reason to play, like a reason, what are we doing type thing. Yep. And it can continue on afterwards too.
Which it totally
did, yes. Yeah. I was very naive starting off. And what you'd think, because I had been playing for a while as a character, I would know what to do, but I guess, DMing and playing is it's a whole different story.
And I feel like everybody feels that way when they first step into the DM shoes.
Yeah, because you got to keep talking, and I remember thinking, I'm going to get nervous, and I still do it even when I DM now. I don't get nervous, but I just will stop talking, when I'm not supposed to,
everyone's just kind of staring at you.
Yeah, everybody's just kind of staring at me.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Hang on a second, I'm looking up something on my iPad,
Right.
And is my problem.
Yeah.
Anyways, I remember we gave you guys, backstories and why you were all coming together, and it was, I remember you had to transport supplies from one small town to another.
Yep.
And along the way you get ambushed by goblins, and if you follow their tracks and stuff, you find out that the guy who hired you was kidnapped by these goblins, and his partner is there. You save him.
Yep.
That was your buddy Sillard, or you guys call him Sidward.
Squidward,
excuse me. Who would pop in and out of that story just randomly
throughout the entire
campaign. Yeah.
Up until the final fight.
Yeah. Which is funny because he was the partner to the main guy, which that guy showed up one time, and then after you saved him, that was it. He pieced out.
I mean, he got captured by goblins.
Yeah, that's kind of...
He's not that great.
No. Yeah. But I do remember making it my own thing, too, because I kept being told I should. All right, not that I should, but that I can. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I remember it was a big thing. It was our 5th session.
Okay, yeah.
At that week, I had planned it all out, and I think I still have the notes for it on my phone.
Yeah.
But it was a tournament episode, the tournament session. You remember that?
I do. So
the town had a big tournament that they do every year. It's the town of Fendelver, and that was the first time I went off the rails, basically, because I kind of try to keep us on the rails, which that's a whole argument too. Should you not? Anyways, so we did that, and man, that was a fun.
It was.
That was just so fun to do.
Our character Marshall tore shit up.
Yeah, he did.
I won a bunch of money.
Yeah, you won a ton of money because you bet on him.
I think I was rich the entire campaign after that.
Yeah,
not just from that.
That was another thing I realized in hindsight I did wrong, is I really devalued the economy
a little bit
of Faerun, which is the world that country, the continent that took place on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my fault. Sorry, guys. Not that it matters.
Not at all.
But I remember you guys sponsored, because you had enough money,
built the ring, I think.
Built the ring, yeah. And then I remember you sponsored it so they could build it. Mm-hmm. And it was this little rinky-dinky thing, right?
Yeah, it wasn't very much.
No, and then I remember...
It's a hole in the ground.
You guys came back...
Yeah.
After we had went into the second
this
part of the campaign.
A while later.
So after this campaign was over, because we don't really need to get super deep into this one.
Yeah.
But like I said, it ends at level 5, which is where you guys probably ended at level 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. And then we wanted something new to go into. I was like, well, Tyranny of Dragons is a 2-part campaign, which is Horde of the Dragon Queen and the Rise of Tiamat. Thank you. I had to think of that for a second. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's a 2-parter, and were coming back from somewhere, and you guys came back into Fandelver,
Mm-hmm.
and you found out that they were using that ring as a gladiator.
They kept it up.
They kept it up, but they ended up using it as a gladiator ring.
Mm-hmm.
And once a year, they would execute all their prisoners there. They're very peaceful people, but like
don't have a big prison.
Yeah, and I remember that was the episode I wanted I really wanted to beat Marshall's character.
Yeah,
because
but
not kill him,
best in
but best in a combat. Because at that time it was really hard to do.
Yeah,
but I remember telling you guys, I'm describing it like you're walking up to the arena, and you're like peering through the slits of the arena, and you see this giant half orc, and he's got a bullhead helmet.
His name's Corn.
His name wasn't Colin. No, it was
Corn.
Corn. What was it? Was it Corn?
I'm pretty sure.
No, it was Rixus. His name was Rixus the Bull.
All right.
Because he wore a bull head.
I believe you.
You're thinking of somebody else.
I must be.
But he had a bullhead's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time you see him is like he literally decapitates a dude's head.
I do remember that.
And I was trying to get shock out of you guys. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, none of you guys were that shocked. I was like, fuck.
Well, we've decapitated people.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Don't remember if you won, but it was close.
I don't remember if I won that or not.
I think you went down to 1.
Yeah.
But he's a half orc, so he came back.
Yeah, half orcs have an ability where if they roll a Constitution saving throw, they go back to 1 HP.
Right.
And that did beat Gam.
Yeah.
I remember because Gam was depressed
There was
after
a rematch.
that. And there ended up being a rematch. Yeah. And not only that, but you guys befriended him in the end.
Yeah,
because he fought with you guys.
Yeah, he did.
I think in the very last battle.
Up there.
I think he did. Or he was a part of the last battle.
Yeah, because we recruited like a bunch of our old allies to help and stuff, which was super cool.
Oh, I love that. That was a great idea. Yeah. Oh, man, Evan's a great. Wonder where he gets it from. But the one thing that always stood out about that town, do you remember, was the mayor's...
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Sure, man.
Go ahead.
I mean, so... God, why did we go
Elmar Jr.
Yeah, that's right.
Elmar Jr. was a character.
Yeah.
You went into his house because he was the current mayor. Mm-hmm. So the original mayor died under suspicious circumstances.
Yeah.
So you wanted to investigate it.
And it was only me, Roland, and Gam, I think?
Yeah. And Jaden, which was Julian's character.
Okay, so
it was 4 of you guys.
Oh, that went in, but not all of us went down. So
right,
we found like the hidden entrance to the basement or whatever.
Yeah,
and it turned out to be a sex dungeon.
So the original mayor who died of a heart attack or something like that.
Right.
He was murdered. We'll say that. Sure. Spoilers out, guys. He had a sex dungeon. Oh my god! And he had
a painting of
himself, yeah, nude. Which he had a young, not super young, but a adolescent kid paint.
We hired that artist later.
You did hire him later, yeah. It's fine. He was fine. He didn't have any permanent scars.
I think he did some of the artwork in our estate or something.
Yeah, yeah, he did. But I remember, he was. It was the guy. He was either nude or half nude, and it definitely was like any Fabio type cover for any romance novel.
That was the weirdest part of our campaign. I think it was just kind of
fun in the sex dungeon.
Yeah,
but you also found some really cool loot in there too.
Did we?
Yeah, because that was. It's funny. Jaden, I remember. He found his crossbow that he used for forever.
Yeah. Okay.
Good on Julian, by the way. Like, he never asked for anything. He asked for one item.
Yeah.
2 items technically, and he got one of them pretty early on, which was he wanted to be able to like dual wield holster, or like dual wield crossbows. He was a crossbow guy,
right? And that's not ridiculous.
No, not at all. And he's like, I just want to buy that, and I'm like, cool, yeah, sure, absolutely. And I remember he got it the previous session, and then later on. The next one in the sex dungeon, he found this repeating crossbow, and it looks like the one from the movie Van Helsing, kind of.
Yeah.
Which he used for like every session ever after that.
Yep.
He never asked for anything else, but he did ask for one more thing, and that was that chimera.
Okay, right.
Remember the Chimera amulet that he had?
Yeah.
You and him had to go steal it.
Yeah, we went on a side mission.
You went on a side mission. And this is another thing that sticks out in my mind too, because you broke into that guy's shop.
Yeah.
Because you had to steal an amulet. And it turned out the guy was a child murderer.
That's right. He had a child murderer dungeon. And we got busted breaking in or leaving.
Because the crime was not as bad as what was happening. They let you go.
We got in no trouble whatsoever.
And you talked your way out of it.
And I think the bard.
The bard, yeah.
But I think we ended up owning the shop.
So I remember this. This is when we...
Yeah, because that was in the main city or whatever.
It was in Waterdeep.
Yeah, Waterdeep.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys ended up moving into Waterdeep.
Yeah.
And
we got him imprisoned.
You got him in prison. I remember he got disgraced because he was a child murderer who worshipped Disbater, which is the god of the second layer of hell, which is Dis.
Yeah.
He was sent to jail.
We got his estate.
You
for
bought
basically
his
nothing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you bought his estate for nothing.
Yeah.
And you bought his shop. I remember that because you had your character's parents running the shop.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was very successful.
Definitely.
They sold some good. They sold all your shit that you guys had.
Basically, they were the loot distributions.
Oh man!
And then my dad being an artificer.
Yeah, your dad was an artificer too in that too. I remember. That was like I wanted that to be a really good reveal, but you were totally oblivious to it.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's funny. I was trying to allude to I think everybody figured it out, and Gam really figured it out. It was like it's a character that was like I'm describing your character in front of you.
I was like, huh?
And you're like, huh? And you're like that. And Gam was like, I think this guy looks like you. And because Gam wasn't he ended up being a very smart character in the end.
He did.
But at the time, he wasn't that smart. And I was like, yeah, that's your parents. Mind blown.
Yeah, because I developed a backstory, but it was mostly like me and Gam upbringing because we grew up together.
Yeah, you guys were orphans together. Yeah.
So I didn't develop like the parents.
Yeah,
and all that,
I remember I had this idea that I was like, I'm gonna try to fuck with everybody's backstory.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be the same person, but that kind of backfired on me a little bit. And it also like his ending. I can't remember the guy's name.
Me either. It's like Philip or something.
Yeah, something stupid. Yeah. Stefan.
That
was his human name.
Yeah.
He was a.
This is like some kind of fae creature.
He was an archfey.
Yeah.
Yeah, which you guys had to go into his lair to kill him.
Like the fae.
You had to go into the Feywild. Yeah. And I remember I got the idea for his stuff, like his whole lair, from. There's a show called True Detective, and in the last episode, they go into this. They're like, I'm guessing they're water runoffs in Louisiana.
Sure. And
it's like all vine overgrown, but it's like vine and tree overgrown.
Yeah.
And if you ever Google it, like, can we Google it real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just True Detective Carcosa. Season 1. Or just Carcosa. Yeah, that'd be fun. See if we can find some images of it. Definitely. Yep, right here. This kind of like his layer looked like that for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It was inside of a tree. And I remember telling you guys the tree is large, but when you went in, it was bigger on the inside.
Right.
But yeah, that character had originally screwed with all your lives previous.
Yeah, he was involved in the Fandelver thing at some point.
He was actually the new mayor.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
But you guys figured out who he was.
Yeah.
I'll get into that in a minute.
We almost killed him, but not really.
Yeah, he tried. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was like me showing I had a full deck or a good hand way early on.
Yeah.
Because I casted a 9th level spell on you guys, and you guys were only like level 6.
Yeah.
So
we got fucked up.
Yeah, well, it's not that you got fucked up. It's just that
you turned Gam religious.
Yeah. I think it did. Yeah,
it did.
It's just I exposed something I didn't want to. which was that this guy is like, oh shit, he's a...
Oh yeah, because we almost caught him or whatever.
Yeah, I was trying to get away, but if Zach ever watches this, he's gonna know you fucked me on this one. You fucked me real good.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
The silent spell.
Yeah.
I hate that spell. I hate it so damn much because he could cast it as a cleric,
right?
Without it being ritual. It's instant, right? Every other spell in the fucking spell book that in the DMG, yep. Right, or in the player's handbook, it's either going to say somatic, which is hand gesture.
Yep.
It's going to say voice or audio, or material, meaning it needs something.
Components. Yeah.
Components. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh my god! Pretty much everyone he had that I needed was voice. It was vocal.
Yeah. That really fucked with you.
That really fucked with me.
Yeah.
That actually, I learned from that to make sure counterspell was something that each of my villains, my good villains, had.
Yep.
Or had a item that could cast it, because
at a highest level.
And it always, oh man, like I remember I was like, I'm gonna make sure that this guy has a staff of counterspell, and when you kill him, it's gonna have no charges. You can pick it up and it has no charges.
Disintegrates.
It disintegrates.
It's
yeah.
a stick now.
Because I didn't want that high of a powerful of an artifact in your hands. Sure. Although I, as an idiot, did that a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, I think every one of us who took counterspell, because you can't not do it.
Yeah, and it's a thing that's a reaction. It uses your reaction. That's totally fine, because
you don't
use as a spellcaster. Yep. What else are you gonna do as a reaction?
Yep.
You know, you're gonna be a wizard and whack them with your stick. You know, come
on.
No.
Always worth a slot.
Yeah, always worth a slot. But I remember I cast I was dumb of me. I cast Prismatic Wall, which is a 9th level spell, to try to block your character from my PC, or from my my PC. Yeah, as soon as I did that, I was like, shit. I just again showed my hand.
Yeah. But
Zach was like, "Oh, you can't do that." I was like, "Why?" He goes, "I just cast silence in this whole room."
Yeah.
I was like, "Shit, okay." So I remember he was able to get away, but Roland's character, Devin's character, Roland, was on his way. His monk character became so broken.
Oh yeah.
He could run so fast that he ran all the way from one side of the town to meet up with him. But I remember I cast Hold Person on him, but his whole person was so powerful that he was holding him in the air.
Yeah.
And then he just blanked out, and then you didn't see him for a while. And then he would pop back up some other places.
That was another trip up by you, by the way.
What was that?
So Devin building everything he could into speed.
Oh.
And then you let me buy like whatever fancy fucking boots.
Yeah, that's right. He did do that. He built that character into speed because
he was like 4 times as fast as any of us.
Yeah, he could
at like 120 feet.
120 feet, yeah. And then also if somebody casted
without dash.
Yeah, if they casted that on him, without dash, yeah, you're right. If they had casted what's the spell? Haste on him. Yeah. Oh my god, he is. I mean, any map that I would draw, it didn't matter. He could go anywhere in that map.
Totally.
He played that monk like the Flash, and then I like an idiot gave him like, I still think this is a really cool idea, because you guys were fighting the Cult of the Dragon. You had met up with some. I'm trying to remember how he got this power. I think it was some other monks, or it was his old. No, you guys went to his old. That's what it was. You went to his old monastery that he was from.
In the sands.
And it was across the world. It was in the sand. He was Roland of the Dust.
Yep.
I remember that was the character's name, because he was from a place called the Dust Palace.
Yep.
And he was able to communicate with his old master, and his old master gave him the ability to use the draconic elements. So he had chromatic elements that he could use.
Yep.
But I remember telling him, I was like, yeah, you can use a key point, which is a monk thing. I was like, to add this type of damage to your unarmed attacks.
Yep.
Was that dumb?
His punches were so broken. He would,
Oh my god!
whenever there was a tough opponent, he would just do all of them at once.
Yeah, I mean, so monks are great characters, but
Yeah.
like you can, as a monk, do a lot of things because you can spin key to do like Step of the Wind, which makes you even faster, or to do another attack, or if you're using unarmed, you can get an automatic second attack. Man, he was such a broken character.
Yeah, I still think I could have bested him, but only by like just vanishing.
Yeah, your invisibility stuff. You had great invisibility. That was your character. Like I remember during the last big battle, you were invisible the entire time.
Yeah.
To do one thing,
and it worked out.
And it worked out great.
Yeah.
Do you remember the immovable rod?
Oh boy.
So do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember the first one.
The first one is what I'm talking about.
You had a dragonborn that we were fighting?
So I had this idea that any good cult of the dragon that worships Tiamat is going to have dragonborn.
Definitely.
Or knight, not necessarily dragonborn, but knights or paladins is what they were that followed Tiamat. No, they were all dragonborn if I remember right.
I think they were.
And this one was a blue dragonborn.
You did not see this coming.
No, I did not.
Way previously, we had came in to purchase the fucking glue.
Oh yeah, I remember it was it's called Universal.
That's to get rid of it.
No, that's the Universal Solvent. It's Sovereign Glue.
Yeah.
I just gave it to you because I remember Thomas gave it to us as an item, and not knowing how powerful the stuff, we never used it.
Sure.
I mean, like literally in the description, it says it's the world's most powerful solution.
Yep.
That you can only when the two items are they are bound unless you have the universal solvent or a wish spell,
which is for those of you who do not know the most ridiculous thing. I mean,
yes,
if you can imagine it, you can wish for it
within limits,
and it doesn't. Always work.
Doesn't always work. Yeah, you got to be very careful the way you word your...
It is the most powerful spell in D&D.
It's a universal breaking spell.
Yeah.
Universe breaking spell, excuse me. Some DMs use it for good, some DMs use it for bad. I think I used it for whatever.
Did we ever get... I think we got one off.
We got one.
We tried it a couple times.
We tried it a couple times, but it was for, like... I don't want to spoil it because I want to talk about that with the whole group, but I remember you guys used it to wish a few things back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was fine. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna try to word my way out of this, because you can say I want all the money in the world, and it literally just falls on you and kills you.
Monkey's paw type.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, this dragonborn.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody cast invisibility, probably you, on Gam.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were going through, this is the first couple of sessions into that new campaign.
Yep.
There's a town getting attacked by a blue dragon.
Yep.
So there's a blue dragonborn there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the leader of that particular group. And I remember Gam, with invisibility, somehow managed to glue it onto his back, the immovable rod, and then turn it on.
Yep.
And that guy, oh my god, he was supposed to be my big bad for the night.
Yeah.
Man,
did not get a hit off.
No, he did actually. He killed one of his own men.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because somebody also cast fog in that area, something I think, like that, and so he attacked the closest thing to him, which is one of his own guys.
Yeah, he was just swinging.
I remember I was trying to prove a point, like this guy can really, because he killed him in one shot.
Right.
I wanted a paladin barbarian.
Okay. Yeah.
Is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Which. I never get anything good. I never get what I want.
Even though you can make whatever you want.
Yeah, but he eventually escaped. Somebody eventually figured out what was going on.
We didn't kill him.
Not until later on.
Yeah, he snuck out of his plate.
No, somebody clicked the button. And he was able to get away because I remember Marshall. Marshall comes up with some really good ideas.
He really does.
And he's like, I want 2 immovable rods. I'm like, why? He goes, I want to be...
He wanted to be able to climb
He wanted to be able
anywhere.
to climb anywhere. And then also, if we ever had a cart, he wanted to be able to row the cart. You remember that?
Until just now. That is a very unique item, though. Well, they both are.
Yeah, they both are. Yeah. So what he means is he wants to go out, click the items, and then pull in, unclick it, and then do that.
What a workout.
What a workout. Man, his character could have done it. He was very powerful.
Climbing.
Yeah, that was something he established early on, is he said he liked to climb things.
And he did.
Because I remember you guys went to some necromancer's tower.
Yeah.
Necromancer. This is early on.
Yeah.
And he crashed through the tower. He did it on purpose.
Yeah. And
he surprised the shit out of that guy. Why was that guy surprised?
We were all just walking up and he was crashing through.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh,
man. That campaign, I could talk hours and hours about that campaign. But I kind of... Yeah, I know. I kind of want to sideline some of that stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. And now I want to talk a little bit more about Wild Endeavors, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, totally.
I know I'm doing most of the talking, and I apologize to the audience because my voice is a little nasally right now.
And I'm the pretty one.
Yeah, and you're just the pretty one, yeah. So the reason we have 2 campaigns, I want to talk about that, or why we've published 2 campaigns so far. So early on, Thomas was very good about consequences.
Quick sideline question.
Yes.
I know you guys all play remotely now.
Yeah.
Has Thomas always been a remote DM for you guys?
No, we used to all play together, yeah. We got quite a few sessions all together, and then he ended up moving. Okay. And now we all play remotely, but when he first moved, we all still got together, but we would just Skype in with all together. We use Google Hangout.
Right.
Still. No, actually, we use Zoom now. We've upgraded. Yeah.
Nice.
Because Zoom has a record all feature. That's why.
Yeah.
Makes it easier for him.
Totally. Anyway, you were saying Thomas has always been good about
consequences with our characters. And it's the reason that we always joke around, it's the reason we have trust issues as our other characters.
Yeah.
So we were in a manor. Can't remember why we were there specifically, but we were sitting there for a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And our friend Devin, his rogue character, his name's Thin,
right?
Or Theron, Thin for short. And my friend Nick, his character Aramil, they got separated from us, or they did it on purpose, or something like that. This is why you never split the party. We learned that the hard way. Anyways, those 2 characters, they died. They dropped down to 0, and there was nobody around them. I wasn't around them to heal them. We were pretty... we were mid-tier, maybe 7th level or something like that, you know. And Thomas talked to them separately after this was all done. Like, hey, look, you can either A, die, or B, come back, and there will be consequences for that character. So... Nick said, well, I'll come back. But I remember his character had, he had some type of debility because they were attacked by ethereal spiders.
Okay.
Which are spiders from the ethereal plane. The ethereal plane in the world of D&D keeps everything together. It's like the glue to all the different planes.
Right.
But there's ethereal spiders. I don't like regular spiders.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine those are real bad. I remember his character was poisoned like all the time. He had like the poison effect all the time. And then Devin chose to play a different character.
Sure.
We never knew what happened to his character. And I remember that was the first biggest shock we ever had was when Thomas described that we found 2 bodies and they're both kind of cocooned in webbing and stuff. So we cut one open and there's Aramil.
Right.
Who was a ranger.
Yep.
No, excuse me, he was a fighter.
Okay.
He was a bow character. And then we cut the other one and we didn't recognize this guy, but he was elf. He was an elven guy. And I remember my character he ended up becoming the leader of the group because I just like to talk again, apparently. And I was like, so you okay, friend? Is there, how did you get here? And then Devin starts talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, hang on, wait a minute, because I'm looking at the screen. I remember we were Skyping on this one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the screen, looking at Thomas, and Devin's talking. Like, why is Devin talking?
You're not the DM.
Yeah, you're not the DM. And so I'm talking to Devin's new character now.
Yeah.
His name is Varys. who at the time was an asshole. He was the worst. Oh my god! Because we had all been a group for a while, even though the whole main cast again didn't start together. We all came together very early on. So like, remember we added one character and then another, and that was it. It was just originally again it was myself, Devin, and Adam, and then Amy joined us. Amy played a barbarian named Thorina, and Nick played again Airmill, and they came on one after the other. Excuse me. Well, Varys came on, and again we had all been friends, and we were all buddy and stuff, and then this guy shows
Here's
up.
this typical racist elf.
Typical racist elf, yes, and he was a racist elf wizard.
Yeah.
But damn if he wasn't a good wizard.
Sure.
So Devin played that character from then on. He played Varys. And he was always he eventually warmed up to everybody because he's like, look, I have one goal and that's to do this. I don't want to spoil it, but he eventually, again, like I said, warmed up, and especially since I think Adam's character saved him a few times.
Sure.
And then I saved him a few times, and then we've all saved each other's lives a few times, and I've almost killed Amy's character once.
I remember that.
That was when my character was a werebear at one point. It's a whole other story for another time. But I remember the joke was around then too. Devin's character then always tried to kill us.
Okay.
Because he would always roll natural ones with a bow.
Yeah.
And end up hitting one of us who were on the front line.
Yep.
He did that like 5 times. Okay. Anyways, so we had always wondered what happened to Finn.
Right.
And so Thomas was like, why don't we do a one-shot?
Sure.
And we called it Whatever Happened to Finn.
Sure.
And the original, and Devin...
Can you listen to this? Is this a podcast?
Yeah,
This one
you
is?
can listen to this.
Okay.
It's the first episode. We didn't call it Shadows Campaign then.
Yeah.
It just ended up becoming that. But we did it in a different system. So up until then, we'd always been playing in 5e.
Right.
This system we played it's called Dungeon World, and it's meant for quick games.
Okay.
But also adventuring game, like literal adventuring. Like we're gonna be going on an adventure, and we're trying to keep up with that kind of system as well.
Sure.
Which when we played, we kind of overlooked a lot of that stuff, just because for me it's easier to do that.
Yeah.
And also like, your character knows how to adventure. They know how to survive on the road, and at a certain point, you're either rich enough to buy places to sleep, or you can conjure places to sleep.
Sure.
But Dungeon World was meant more for open road kind of stuff.
Right. More about the journey.
Exactly. It's more about the journey. Right. And it was a great journey. So Devin asked me if I would be in his one shot, because we was only going to do 2 people originally. Okay. I was like, yeah, sure. And I've been wanting to play a wizard. So I played a wizard named Leandros.
Okay. Yeah.
Who unbeknownst to most people was evil.
Okay.
Except for the first some of those situations where it's like, I'm normally out to fuck people, or to fuck over people. But because of the situation we're in, I'm gonna be your ally.
Okay. Sure.
And
benefits you.
It benefits me. Yeah, exactly. And I don't have that personality, and we've done several like we call them talking shadows. And a lot of those I always bring up the fact that it was very hard for me to do evil things because my character did a lot of evil stuff. Yeah. But it was hard for me to describe a lot of those, and it was hard for me to grasp what an evil person does. Just I'm not saying I'm like the nicest person in the world, but
sure.
I think most people like me. At least I'd hope so. But so that was gonna be a one shot. Yeah. It turned into a 32 episode arc ended up involving the rest of the Wild Endeavors cast. Everybody else ended up joining.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 32 episodes, something like that. Yeah. Of what happened to Finn, and it ended up becoming the Shadows campaign. because we at one point ended up in a shadow realm that's based off of the Curse of Strahd.
All right, Yugi, calm down.
Yeah, I know, right? It's based off the Curse of Strahd realm, which is in a shadow realm.
If I could sidebar you for a change,
it's fine.
I always really wanted to finish that campaign.
Oh yeah, one of my failed campaigns. I know.
Yeah,
that was. Yeah, I wish we could have.
So I love Thalar, which actually I didn't think we.
Oh yeah, we never named his name.
That's my bard from the main campaign. He was a really cool character, but he was like the face, right? So when it came to you wanted to do a different campaign, the Curse of Strahd, my character there was so fun. I played a warlock,
Kenku warlock,
a Kenku warlock. Yep, his name was Crackler.
Yep,
and
so Kenku,
they're mimickers. They can only
they're an avian race. Wow, sorry, they're an avian race.
Buddy.
I know. They're a raven specific avian race.
Yeah, the lore goes like their species has lost their creativity.
Yeah,
like it was ripped from them because of some atrocity they committed or whatever.
Yep.
So they can only use their voice to repeat what they've heard before, and they repeat it in the same tones, like a parrot or a mockingbird.
Yep.
So that was a super fun character. And
Crackler was a great character. Yeah. I remember I gave you sayings.
Yeah, we had a few that I started with.
Yep.
And then
I remember one of them. One of them was, "I'll fuck you up, man." I'll fuck you up, man. I love that.
His running gag.
I need him. Oh yeah, the running gag.
It became
a running gag.
Where anytime Crackler would meet somebody or like just whenever, he would go to offer you some eggs.
And the reply was always,
"Are those your eggs?"
Oh boy. I don't even know why I said that, but I just remember it being the running gag was every character you would try to give eggs to. Are those your eggs?
I mean, always get frustrated. I'm a boy.
Oh man,
that was really fun. That was going to be, and we came close. Actually, we played a lot.
We got halfway through it. Yeah. Well, you guys got to where you were formulating a plan to beat Strahd.
We were gathering the MacGuffins.
Yep, because that was 1 through 10.
Yeah.
Kind of level thing, and we would have kept going, but that was a stressful campaign for me because I tried to do it as separate.
Yeah.
So I tried to run 2 campaigns at once.
Right.
But I was also running it completely different because Curse of Strahd, Tyranny of Dragons are run very separately. But I was going out of the books for both.
Yeah.
But at a certain point in Tyranny of Dragons, I would just kind of flip through the chapters.
Yeah.
And get an idea of what was going on, but I never knew 100% what was going on.
Sure.
I tried to keep it vague in my mind. I'm like, okay, I know we're doing this. We're going here.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do. What are we doing in the middle?
Yeah.
I was going to leave that up to you. But in Curse of Strahd, I had a notebook, and I still have the notebook, where I took notes, and I would write the notes the night before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what I wanted to do.
It was a lot more by the rails.
Very much more on the rails. Yep, but the problem is that campaign is set up to be on the rails.
Yeah, there's not that many places to go.
Exactly.
People to meet, just kind of you and your party.
Yeah, whereas in like Tyranny of Dragons, you guys again literally went halfway across the world.
Oh yeah.
Whereas in Curse of Strahd, you were stuck in Barovia, which is the shadow place.
There's like a town. Yeah.
It's Ravenloft, Barovia. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Strahd was one of my favorite bad guys, though.
Oh yeah, he's super cool.
Very had a good, very good personality.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we could have fought him.
Yeah.
I was setting up for some good stuff.
Different cast a little bit.
Different cast a little bit. Cool. Yeah.
I really liked that Drew came and played with us. Oh fuck. His character was fun.
What was his character again? He was
all I remember is
he was a cleric.
Yeah.
He was a trickster cleric.
Yeah.
And
we covered our first bad guy in Oats. That's how we beat her.
She was a hag.
Yeah.
She was a night hag or something like that. And he wanted to, because as a cleric you can create food or water as a spell, and it's instant. It's not a ritual or anything like that, or there's no casting time for it. And I was like, okay.
And I think you read it in the book. And you could make a barrel of oats.
You make 30 pounds of oats and 30 gallons of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got her down, and then you killed her because you smashed a vial of acid on her face.
Something like that.
Yeah, you guys fucked her up. And then I remember Kevin. Oh, man. Kevin was in that too. He played a paladin.
Yeah, that's right.
He played a very horny paladin. He had to try to have sex with a lot of people.
Yeah.
so much so I was going to. I don't know if I ever did, but I was going to have him have a vision from his god. Yeah. And his god was going to tell him he had to be celibate.
I don't think we got there.
I don't think we got there, but I was going to do it.
He's gaining quite the reputation in that small town, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it was funny. See, that's another thing, too, that small town, that little pocket universe.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody died, their soul couldn't go to the fugue plane.
That's right.
So a lot of people were born without souls, or born with the same souls of other people.
That's right.
So
that's
some
like
people,
one of the main plot points, right?
It is, yeah. It was that Strahd was after his love.
Right.
And he was after a certain person who had her soul.
Yep.
So yeah, you guys actually figured that out very early on. But that's why a lot of the NPCs they would just walk around because they were just like, they're like doing the motions.
Yeah.
Because they had no soul.
Right.
So it was like, it's kind of hard to
lust somebody,
Yeah, or do anything with that person. I remember there was a barkeep. You guys were like trying to entertain. He's just like, no. Whatever.
Yeah, I remember being frustrated.
Yeah. But also, like, I remember the book describes the town of wherever you guys, not Barovia specifically, but in that part of town, that it's supposed to feel like a horror movie.
Yeah.
So I remember you guys hearing like a blood curdling scream at one point, and you guys are like run to go figure out what it is, and it's like this woman rocking back and forth with a little teddy bear. That was actually going to be another little side mission you could have done, but I don't think you did it. No. I don't remember.
I think Devin was like mad at her and just kind of shushed her away or something.
Devin didn't play in that campaign.
Was it not? No. Somebody did then.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened to her.
Because she would just like say like the same thing over and over.
Yeah, you guys like, clues. Nah.
Yeah, fuck that.
Here's your bear, bitch.
You guys only happened to be in Barovia because you were trying to transport a prisoner. Yeah. I remember, and the prisoner got loose, so you followed him through this cave. The cave went into that plane.
Yep.
And then I remember telling you guys immediately that guy got picked up by something.
Yep.
And I was going to put it at the end where you find him. And like when it's all said and done, you're like, there's the dude.
Yeah.
He's like doing fine.
We can just go back.
And you just like, you could have left him or you could have taken him to wherever you wanted to go. Or,
It was only like 5 minutes in the other plane. Or whatever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly.
That would have been funny.
That would have been real funny.
Oh, dream sequence. Sorry, didn't really mean that much.
Yeah, right.
The fuck? We spent a year on it.
Oh my god. Anyways, so that's how the Shadows campaign. Back to Wild Endeavors.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I know we were talking about Crackler, but
no, that's cool.
Shit, what was I talking about now? Oh yeah. So my evil character, I wanted him to end up becoming the main bad guy for the other campaign because they all take place in the same world for Thomas.
Yeah.
And that guy, I'll say it now because the show's over and it's been over for a while. He ended up dying. Believe it or not, he ended up dying trying to protect his companions.
Okay.
So, oh man, I forgot to also say this. Finn also died too. So the show is again.
Whatever happened to Finn?
He ended up dying.
He died.
Like the show was supposed to be about him, but then like we kept getting all these interesting characters, so we just kept going, right?
Yeah.
So Devin ended up playing another character, and so I remember I came up with this idea. I was like, Thomas, can I have Finn's character become a Death Knight, or not his character, but his body? I wanted him to become a Death Knight because I wanted my character to become a Lich.
Okay. Yeah.
So that almost happened.
Yeah.
But we got, again, stuck in the Shadow Realm where we got attacked by cultists.
I can't hear Shadow Realm without going back to you again.
I know, I'm sorry. Every time. We got attacked by these cultists and Leandros almost died, but Devin's new character, he was kind of like, he's supposed to be like kind of like the man with no name, kind of Clint Eastwood character. He was a sharpshooter. Yeah. Actually, he was the first character to have a gun in our campaign. Okay. He had a rifle. Yeah. His name was Quintus, and he was a Justicar for the Primarchy, and that ended up getting fleshed out more and more, and it actually is getting fleshed out more and more in our one shots and stuff that we do. But anyways, what happened? Oh yeah, so we had to. I guess, like I said, it was kind of like, again, our shadow campaign was almost kind of like Ravenloft. We had to deal with some vampires and stuff, and Leandros ended up dying. So then I had this idea of, I was like, well, shit, I really didn't want to die. Yeah. Right? But it was, no. My god that I was trying to reach out to try to help me become a lich was like, now. Boot to the head. Yeah. And I went down into the fugue plane. So that character was gone. So I was like, all right, shit. So what am I going to play now? I played a warlock. Yeah. Who...
warlocks are so fun.
They are definitely fun. Yeah. You can do so much stuff with warlocks.
And they're really powerful.
They can be very powerful, yes. Especially later on.
Sure.
But that character, his name was Rackham. He was a tiefling. Amy had a tiefling character. I was like, hey, and I remember side chatting with her and Thomas. I was like, how would you two feel if your character had a brother and I was the brother and he got brought into this situation? And but the brother's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that character, I'm blanking on her name right now, and I don't know why, because we played for so damn long. Anyways, she had him not committed, but like she couldn't really do much because her character was a thief, and she was a part of this big thief, underground world. Yeah. But he was finally getting better. Okay. Because he started hearing voices.
Oh boy.
Okay. Yeah. But he was starting to get better because he was worshiping this being that Thomas had introduced very early on in our other campaign called the King in Yellow.
Right.
We had run into some cultists with them.
Me about him,
yeah, the King in Yellow is a real Cthulhu esque character, or like Lovecraftian horror character. I think in the lore he is Cthulhu's uncle or something like that.
Okay.
His real name is Hastur, but he's like this giant, of course, horror monster. But his vassals, that when he comes down to reality, is a humanoid creature in all yellow robes with a crown.
Yeah.
We call him the King in Yellow.
Right.
My character started hearing voices from him and was a worshiper of his.
Right.
And it's funny because Amy's other character, and
that is such a cool patron, by the way.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. He didn't. The only problem was, like, as a warlock, you can commune with your patron. My commune with my patron was always like flashes and images of horror.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm trying to get okay, I'm asking a question, like, and he's just like showing me images of horror things. I'm like, that doesn't help at all.
I don't get it.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
I'm just gonna go insane over here.
Yeah, and my character was going insane.
Right.
So Amy's other character, Thorina, the barbarian from the Wayward Sons campaign, somehow got marked by the cults. And she had the mark of yellow.
Yeah.
And she didn't know it. That's why we kept running into these cultists. And she had the mark of yellow. And then this other guy was also the mark of yellow. So they were heralds of basically that. And I can't really talk about much else with that because it would be spoiling where we're currently at in the podcast. Even though the original Shadows is over, those characters have moved on.
Sure.
We actually have run into quite a few of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Go subscribe to the podcast.
Go subscribe to Wild Endeavors.
Yeah.
Please. It's a great show. It has a great cast. Everybody in it loves it. I mean, when you love something, it's going to be great.
Definitely.
You put a lot of stuff into it. That's how I feel about this podcast.
Yeah.
I was excited all day.
Even only 3 episodes in, I'm having a lot of fun.
Me too.
Yeah. And,
I'm out of breath. Because I keep talking.
Yeah. And on that note, we're over an hour, or almost an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
So we'd probably better call it here.
Okay.
But part 2 of D&D, hopefully soon. Maybe not the next episode.
No.
We'll have to get a hold of everybody.
Yeah.
And we do a big thing.
We got to find a place to put them all, too.
Probably at your... Oh, no.
No,
well,
not right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Probably have Marshall's.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that'd be easy. So, yeah. Bardic Beards.
Bardic Beards.
Episode 2 in the books. Subscribe.
Or die.
Or die.
No, don't die. Please. We need you to subscribe.
Goodbye.
All right.